Ha, you asking me? Yeah. Yeah. Right. So, right. Good question. Right. You're lying to me. What's going on, YouTube world? This is your guy, Sealz the man, and I am glad to be back to talk to y'all. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the best ways, the only verifiable Sealz the man ways to detect liars. And not just any type of liars. I'm talking about detecting people who are hiding something, hiding the truth from you. As I call them, truth hiders. That's another type of liar, but I'm gonna get into that. And real quick, the difference between a truth hider and a liar is that they're both lying, but truth hiders don't necessarily say the lie. Instead, they just present the absence of the truth. Might sound a little weird, but I'll explain it. Some of my most popular videos on this channel is about asking, communicating, asking people their intentions, asking people what they want from you, asking people questions so that you may get important information, essential information. But one of the most difficult things about asking people questions is that it doesn't guarantee that you're gonna get the truth. So because Sealz the man has a bachelor's and a doctorate and a master's in knowing people, because I am an expert in peopleology, because I am one of the most sought after peopleologists in this universe, I'm going to share you my tips on how to detect truth hiders and liars, so that even when you ask questions, you'll already know the game. You'll already know what's up, and you'll be able to catch red flags. Sounds good? But before I get into it, as I always say, please subscribe, like, comment, all of those good things. And if you feel like this video could benefit anyone you know, your friend, your loved one, your relative, your coworker, slide that video link to them. I don't mind. Sharing is caring in most cases. Let's get to it. The first tip in detecting someone who is lying, someone who is not being truthful, someone who is hiding their reality is their body language. You see, let me break it down to you. There are usually two extremes when it comes to liars. They're never really in the middle when it comes to body language. Either they are never sitting still, they are constantly moving or fidgeting, or they are as still as a statue. They are as still as me after I eat a whole tub of ice cream, even though I know I shouldn't have ate that. So now I'm sitting there still in disappointment in myself, and physically I just can't move. But enough about me, let's get back on the subject, okay? So once again, they are either fidgeting, they can't stand still, they're like just unusually active, or they are still. And another thing is, when they are still, they are usually staring at you and not blinking, giving you some really psychotic vibes. Take note of that, because when someone is truthful, they are naturally comfortable in what they are talking about. Because the truth is natural, they don't have to try to remember the truth. With lies, you have to remember the lies. So if I'm telling you the truth, I don't need to look up and search in my memory bank. When I'm telling you the truth, I'm telling you the truth. I'm straight up, I'm confident in my voice tone, my posture's correct. So my body should follow suit. My body language should follow my comfort in telling you the truth. Number two, this is one of my favorite ones. I actually talked about this special power in one of my videos, actually this video right above. You should do your research on the person and then ask them questions about the research you did do on the person. And if they lie about those questions that you've already done research on, then most likely they will lie about other things. And these can be big things or small things. But if the person is lying about small things, then they most likely will lie about big things, and you don't want that. For example, I'm interested in a woman. I do my research on her, I do my Googles, make sure she's not on a run from the FBI, and I go on her social media page and I see she has children. But when I go out on a date, or I meet you, or whatever the case is, and I ask you, oh, so do you have kids? And she tells me no, then what is the first thing you're gonna think? She's lying about having kids. And if she's willing to lie about her seeds, then what else is she willing to lie about? What I also want to say with this is, I don't want you to go out there and just ask any old question, like especially personal questions that might offend the person. But the important things that will affect you if you are in a relationship with this person, you should bring up and see what their answer is to your questions. But one thing is, you should always research people. And I'm not just talking about dating. I'm talking about your employers, new friends. Shoot, sometimes I even Google my Uber driver. Always do your research. When you do your research, it's hard for people to get anything past you. Number 3 tip to find out if someone's lying, if someone is hiding their truth, is lack of eye contact. I was raised by older OGs, kings, and my uncles and in my grandfather. And one thing they always told me, when you give any handshakes to anyone, you give a firm handshake. And when you shake their hand, you look in their eyes. So if you didn't know that, that is a man code. That is a man law. Because when you give a flimsy handshake or you don't look in their eyes when you introduce or they introduce themselves to you, you give off bad vibes, weak vibes, immediately. And this also applies to finding out if someone is a liar. Like I said in point 1, liars have to think, they have to remember their lies. And they're remembering your lies. I don't know if a lot of y'all notice, but your eyes move. When they're trying to remember things, they look up or they look around or they look down or they just look away. So take note of people who aren't give you eye contact, because most likely something else is on their mind. Another thing with telling the truth is, I want you to know the truth. I want you to know that I'm telling you the truth, and I want you to know that I'm serious about my truth. And when you're serious about something, you give that person full attention. If I was in the store with my mom and I messed up, spilled a jar of candy or something, all she had to do was give me that death stare, that look. She didn't have to touch me, she didn't have to whoop me, but she gave me that look, and I knew what I did was wrong. I feared for my freedom for the next 2 weeks because I knew I was gonna be on punishment. But all it took was that look, that eye contact, because she was serious. So watch out for the ones who aren't seriously giving you the attention you deserve. Number 4, what I like to call filler fluff. Psh, you asking me? Yeah. Right. So, right. Good question. Right. You're lying to me. When people start saying unnecessary words, giving you unnecessary expressions, giving you dramatic phrases, they are most likely lying. So there's a few reasons why liars do this. 1 is giving them time to think of a lie. Notice everything I said was drawn out, exaggerated. It is because he or she is trying to give themselves enough time to think of a lie. Because when a liar is put on the spot with an answer they are not ready to give or haven't even thought of, it takes them time to think of a new lie. So in order to do that, they add these filler fluffs to add on some time on the clock in their mental brain to think of a good lie. That's not a good sign. And some questions can be so good or something they've never been asked that they haven't even thought of a lie to match that question. Because one thing with liars is they prepare themselves. They have a lie for every question they've been asked, especially for dates. They have a lie for every usual or standard question to get asked at a date because they've heard it all. So they have a lie for all those questions. But when you give him a question he's never heard of, he or she is stuck. Oh, I forgot to mention another aspect of filler fluff is when they repeat your question after you ask the question.
So, are you dating anyone?
Oh, am I dating anyone? Am I dating anyone? Yeah. The 5th way to detect a liar, to detect a truth hider, is when you ask them the question, right after you ask them the question, and they start to look away. There's a science to that, because most liars look in the direction of the place they want to be at that moment. What do you mean, Sealz? When a liar is not ready to answer a question, or he has no lie, or he can't think of a good lie for your question, he or she will usually look to the exit door or to the bathroom, because now he or she is in a panic mode. They have to get out of this situation. It is too tense for them. They don't know what to do. Usually they are good at lying, but now you just ask him or her something that they are not ready for. They have to get out of here. So what are the 2 places they can escape? Leave or go to the bathroom and reset. Crazy, right? So if the person starts to do this, oh wow, good question. They are scanning the canvas. They are trying to bounce. They are trying to find a way to get out of that. And what some of them will do is they'll go to the bathroom and reset, breathe, try to think of the best answer to give you, try to think of the best lie to give you. They just needed to recalibrate and regroup and then come back to the table and give you the best lie possible. Number 6, an unusual change in the pitch of their voice. The dude started off talking like me, right? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, how's the food? How's everything? All right. Oh, huh? Oh, wow. That's a good question. Man, that's a good question. Like, whoa, who are you? Who am I asking this question to? You or the person inside of you? Who is that? When their voice just changes, the volume or the pitch of it just changes out of nowhere, that's a clear sign, actually a physical sign that he's nervous. His vocal pipes actually tightened, constricted because of his nervousness. He or she is freaking out. And now they're giving you this answer, this lie, sounding like an opera singer when they were just sounding like Morgan Freeman. That's a crazy, wild change. I mean, and you gotta notice that, right? There gotta be a reason, right? And one of those reasons is that person is lying. And once again, they could also be nervous. It's possible, definitely. But the other side of the coin, they're lying. Or they're about to tell you a lie. So watch out for that. Number 7, one of the most embarrassing ways to detect a liar, detect the truth hider is re-asking a question or revisiting a question you already asked the person earlier and they answered. But when you ask them again, they give you a different answer. Must I remind you, it is hard to remember lies. And it is even harder to remember lies on top of lies that created lies. And it is most hard to lie to someone in a date or first meeting them because it is such a tense moment and everything is a blur because you're nervous, she's nervous, a lot of butterflies, a lot of antsiness. All of those emotions are just stirring in the pot. So when you tell a lie, it is very hard to remember your lie. Even if you told that lie 30 minutes ago and he or she asks you that same question 30 minutes later, because all these things are happening, you can forget your lie. So that is a great way to figure out if someone's lying. Revisiting a question that you asked them earlier in that day or that date or that meeting, whatever situation this is. This is for meetings, interviewing prospects or candidates for your job. And you don't have to ask the same exact question as before. You can ask a similar question, something around that bush in that area, but will have the same answer. And if they give you a different answer, it's not a good thing. Number 8, this red flag can lead to a lot of other problems which can dead this conversation or date immediately. But when they start to get defensive when you ask them a certain question. Being defensive is a natural mechanism of defense, right? You do it to protect yourself, or if you're fed up with something, or if you're not really disciplined and you're easily agitated. But one huge reason to be defensive is when you are not being truthful. And if you're asking this person the right questions and they're out of lies or they're just tired of lying, they're getting agitated with themselves because they're lying so much. And because you're asking so many good questions that they have to keep lying about, they will become defensive. Like just imagine how it feels to be lying all day and every day. Imagine how frustrating it is to have to remember things, stories you've created, all of these things they have to remember it in their brains every single day. Imagine how frustrating that is. That can be tough, especially on a person who can't handle all of that mental stress. So when a person starts to raise their voice or they start to get real frustrated, especially at the first time or first meeting or the first date of meeting you, it's not a good sign. Like, why are you being so defensive? I just asked you a simple question. That should be a simple answer. I didn't ask you any invasive questions. I didn't ask you any personal questions. There's a reason why you're getting defensive. Red flag. The 9th sign of detecting a liar and a truth hider is someone who doesn't even answer your question. They'd just rather not answer the question at all. They will say anything besides answering the question. They will lead the conversation in a whole nother direction. They will deflect. They will change the topic just to not answer your question. A big red flag of a liar. Some examples of this is, let's just talk about that later. That's enough about me, but let's talk about you. Let me ask you some questions. And this type of deflection is also a sign of a person who is a control freak or a manipulator. Just think about it. A manipulator and a control freak say those same deflections because they want control and direction of this conversation. So if you ask a question and this person does everything in their power to not answer the question, it's a big sign that they're not being truthful. And as I always say, lying does not mean technically telling a lie, telling you something that's not true. Lying is the absence of truth. So if they are making the truth absent from you, that is a lie. So it doesn't technically mean that I'm telling you a lie. Me not saying anything me refusing to give you the truth is considered a lie. And the last, but definitely not least, red flag of a liar, a truth hider. This is pretty funny, but a person who actually tells you they're a liar. Like, some people will really tell you, like, I'm a liar and I'm good at lying. I'm good at telling stories. I'm good at being on both sides. I'm good at being on the fence. This is funny because these type of liars don't intentionally do it. They talk so much that they talk too much and tell on themselves. Y'all could be talking freely, talking about each other, you know. You're telling him what you're good at. He or she's telling you what they're good at, and they slip up and say one of those things I said earlier. You might give it a nervous laugh, but in your head, please take note of that. The fact that they even said that they're good at that shows that they have great confidence in giving alternative truths, to the point that they didn't even realize they just told you that. Ugh. And that's another thing in conversation etiquette. Paying attention to what people are saying. Even the small things, especially the small things, because people can slip up and tell you nuggets about themselves. That can be huge red flags. So I hope these 10 ways, flags of detecting and finding out a liar and detecting a truth hider can help you out. Because it is essential to ask questions, but it does not guarantee the receiver is going to tell you the truth. But these 10 things will put you on game. And not only will you start to figure out liars, but you will learn so much more about people. And maybe one day, you can be a peopleologist, just like your guy Sealz. Thank you for watching my video. I appreciate all of y'all always. I love y'all support, man. Y'all do the most for me, man. Thank you so much. And I'll see you at my next video. Have a good day. Be safe. Goodbye.